Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, and healing from narcissistic relationships. So let's talk about an interesting sort of take on empathy. I was recently at a meeting of therapists where someone was talking about a video that was put out by the Cleveland Clinic on how healthcare providers can give better and more empathic healthcare. This video has had over 7 million views. I suggest you watch it. You can watch it now. The link is in the video description and come back here. Or you can watch my video and then listen and go watch their video. I was dubious about this video at first, but I wanted to watch it. And then I watched it. I cried my eyes out. I'm a bit of a crier. But then I realized, though, the video hit me really hard for another reason other than it being a somewhat moving video. I'm going to talk about that Cleveland Clinic video here. It's not like it's a spoiler. It's not like a spoiler. It's not a movie. But basically that video is a video of people going through a day in the hospital, right? Patients, people in the hallways, people who work there. And next to each person is like a little word bubble about what they're going through that day. So for example, one person's word bubble was a girl, and underneath her it said, visiting her father for the last time. Another said, they found something odd on her mammogram. Another said, having first vacation in years tomorrow. And armed with that, we understood their expressions, their countenance, perhaps their irritability, and maybe even their strength, as they were still showing up and smiling and full of kindness, despite what was happening that day. I found it again to be very, very powerful. Now, obviously a good rule for any of us to follow is that when we go into a place, any place that and we're going to interact with people, we do ourselves and them a favor, and we remind ourselves that this may not have been an easy day for that person, or maybe that they're missing something that mattered to them to be there at work. And so we try to be cheerful as an opener with them. At a minimum, we do that so we may not personalize their irritability entirely, or just perhaps to make another person's day easier who may not want to be there. We also may have had our own difficult days, so sometimes that is more difficult for us to do all the time. But I mean, obviously one of the messages of this video is offer more grace all around. But this video really made me think about narcissistic people. The veritable psychological bulls in the china shop, right? And the video led me to realize that many, not all, but many people who have gone through narcissistic relationships and narcissistic abuse, you're always seeing those little word bubbles next to people, especially the ones next to the narcissistic person. Maybe they had a hard day. Maybe they're scared about their meeting today. They did get bad news last week. And so you not only justify their behavior, you keep adjusting your behavior to them. Maybe you, like I said, you make excuses for all of their behavior. Maybe you excessively apologize or wonder if maybe you're the one who's not kind enough. And then take that a step further, that many people in narcissistic relationships are deeply, sometimes almost too deeply empathic and do all this word bubbling about people all the time. It sort of generalizes out to the world around a person who's been in a narcissistic relationship, and that empathy gets multiplied. It becomes a way to make safe attachments outside the narcissistic relationship. But the problem is that this empathy is often one-sided. And especially if you grew up with narcissistic parents, that idea of reciprocal empathy sort of goes out the window. Your empathy is a good thing until it encounters a narcissistic person, and then it becomes risky. Because what happens is that while you have those word bubbles, the narcissistic people don't see those word bubbles. They don't care about whether you lost your job or got a questionable medical test result or have a sick friend. Even if you were to make your little experience word bubble known to them, tell them what's happening in your day, in your life, it's often received by them as an inconvenience. You might get some performative or hollow empathy, but then sort of hanging there is the sense from them of, how long do I need to be nice to you now? They may feel put out by your word bubble. And so even if you make your so-called experiential word bubble explicit, that still may not be enough to get their empathy. I thought the Cleveland Clinic video was beautiful. I'm sure by now some of you have watched it and you would agree. It was a wake-up call and a reminder. It's very important for any of us who work in any form of healthcare setting. But that video to me was also a painful recognition of the impossible situation that people in narcissistic relationship find themselves in. That you're always seeing these experiential word bubbles and accounting for the experiences and fears and feelings, not just of the narcissistic people all the time, but of everyone else too. And in these narcissistic relationships, it's definitely not being reciprocated. And ultimately, that's not sustainable. I mean, the best most of us can do is find those places where those experience word bubbles are being seen on both sides. And even if you can't leave or step away from all of your narcissistic relationships, having some places in your life where this happens can help you manage the workarounds and the necessary disengagement of the narcissistic relationship. And to recognize that even if you can see their word bubble and you can make sense of their behavior, making sense doesn't mean excusing it. And it's a wake-up call that this relationship is not good for you. So please take care of you. I was recently at an event. It was populated by survivors of narcissistic relationships. That's who was the audience. I've never seen so many well-mannered, no, you go ahead. No, it's okay. I'll step. Everyone was so aware of everyone else. It was really, I was making note of it. For first I thought, like, this line isn't moving smoothly. And I thought, oh, it's because everyone is being so kind and warm and aware of everyone else. It was really beautiful to see, because usually it's not like that. It's like, how come you cut in front of me in line? You expect that, but that wasn't happening at all. But definitely check out this video. I will watch it again. I really found it to be very, very, very compelling, but also very saddening, because I realized how much it reflects how important this kind of awareness of what other people are going through is, and how often people who are in these relationships, in narcissistic relationships, don't get it. Hope you enjoyed this video and that one. Thanks again.